How to instantly raise your vibration even in difficult times.
In this video, you will learn techniques that have an instant effect. Some of them very simple, some of them little known and quite advanced. But even more importantly, you will learn some techniques and some methods that will raise your vibration not for a short period of time, but permanently.
Welcome to the Architects of Destiny podcast, where we bring together wisdom from galactic star nations, as well as down-to-earth practical insights to accelerate your energetic mastery and spiritual growth trajectory. Tune in to receive the energetic tools you need to step into your divine role as an architect of destiny to create the life of your desires and co-create the new earth that we can all be proud of. So your vibrational state is also linked to your emotional state, and we're going to be talking to you a bit more in depth about this. But some of the important principles that we want to communicate to you before we get into the video is the fact that it's not about forcing your vibrational signature up. So it's not about coming in and forcing your vibrational signature up. It's actually about removing everything which is dragging it down. And so what we're going to be doing is sharing some techniques with you in this video. And what that's going to allow you to do is to really feel the effects of an increased vibrational signature in the short term. But also we're going to be sharing some amazing techniques with you so that you can enjoy long-term vibrational signature increase, which is going to allow you to fulfill your dreams, change your life, and live your highest organic timeline.
So let's start with this principle that your vibrational state is not just determined by things you do to raise it, but is also determined by eliminating everything that drags this vibrational state down. And there are certain things you can do that will instantaneously raise your vibration by way of elimination. So, for example, last night or night in Europe, here daytime in Costa Rica, I got a message from my mom who was watching TV till very, very late at night. So I think here was probably like early afternoon. It must have been around midnight in Poland. And she's sending me clips about some people who experience a plant medicine ceremony that went wrong. And then the next thing is, I'm really scared that there will be war in Poland. And they say that in 2027, Putin will invade Poland. I'm like, Mom, what do I do? I'm scared. I'm like, first of all, turn this TV off. And that will instantaneously raise your vibration. So this is quite obvious, but we want to state that actually very often, especially mainstream media and TV, can propagate a lot of fear. You eliminate that, straight away, your vibration will be higher.
It's also the kind of media that you consume online. And so, we're all aware, I would imagine, that the mainstream media, there's nothing positive on the mainstream media. And I remember back in 2020 and 2021, we were living in Australia at the time. And every time I turned on the television, it just seemed that the world was ending. And what happened was, I just considered that every time I was watching it, it was just so negative. So what I decided to do instinctively is just to turn it off. And actually at the time, we were living on a farm at the time in Australia. And when I turned off the television, I looked outside and I was just surrounded by koalas and kangaroos and horses and a beautiful view out over a forest and with the trees. And instantaneously, I started to feel better. And it happened like that.
But there was one catch. What he did was he turned off the mainstream media, but he tuned in to all the, let's say, conspiracy Telegram groups. And these, they were offering an alternative viewpoint on the world and probably came from a really good place. Mm-hmm. But these, let's say, truthers channels sometimes can be just as bad in propagating fear, because what people rely on is, if you are scared, if you feel like the world is a really bad place, maybe that will mobilize you to change or mobilize you to protest or mobilize you to do something about it. But in the short term, it also drags you down. So beyond the obvious mainstream media, any kind of propaganda, anything that propagates fear, there are other things that can also drag your vibration down. And sometimes there are even channels that come from a really good place. But that's just about the kind of, let's say, reality. But what about fiction? Fiction can also drag you down. Like I, for example, cannot watch things which are about war zones, violence, animal abuse, or things like that. It just literally, we tried watching a documentary lately about a lady who kind of uncovered a big company that was testing on animals. We couldn't finish it.
No.
It was just too depressing.
It was too distressing. And although the subject matter, my heart goes out to people who are out there trying to help animals and trying to save the planet. And obviously the lady that made this documentary was trying to raise awareness, and that's what interested me in the first place, and we started watching it. But the scenes were just so distressing. It was causing upset, so we couldn't watch it. So it's just about monitoring what it is and the kinds of content and the kinds of media that you're consuming, because it does affect your vibrational state, and that's a super quick fix.
But let's say you've already eliminated anything and everything that is triggering negative emotions. There's still some proactive, some really cool techniques that you could deploy to help you out. And my favorite, being a light language activator, is light language. So light language is energy channeled in the form of sound that very often has extraterrestrial origin. Sometimes it comes from very advanced civilizations like Lemuria and Atlantis, from this planet, from Earth. And this has an instant effect. I have experienced comments before from listeners and people who watch me even on TikTok, where 60-second video and people can feel the effect. So light language is a fabulous way to raise your vibration. And the good news is this channel has an abundance of different light language transmissions. So check it out, find the frequency that resonates with you, because not all of the light languages have the same kind of frequency. They're all different. They have the particular flavors. So find the one you like, and this is really great. And even better, if you activate your own light language, you will have it on tap. And this is something that I've been doing for the last 20 years. I remember even as quite a young person, in my early 20s, whenever I was scared, I was in some stressful situation before the exam at school or whatever, I'll just start channeling a light language out, instantaneously feel better. But that's just one of the quantum techniques you can deploy. There's more.
So the next thing that you could do to help to almost instantly raise your vibration, because it's going to make you feel good, and your emotions are linked to your vibrational state. So the better you feel, the higher your vibration. So you can find high vibrational, energetically charged locations, spiritual locations on this planet. So there are chakra points, there are energetic ley lines, there are grid points. And if you can search online and find these, and there are major and minor, but if you go to some of these energetically charged sites, some of these are at stone circles and sacred sites that they used to use. Others are the chakra points around the world. I remember visiting some of these myself, and the energy at these sites is sensational. So even if you're not that sensitive to frequency, but you're curious, 100% when you go to these special sites, you're going to be feeling amazing.
But that may not be very practical. If you've got a busy day, you're not going to drop your life and family and go to some place on the other side of the world. The good news is those places are everywhere. And yes, there are those famous places, but there are also places which are little known. And it could be some church in a village. It could be some fountain in the middle of a park. If you're sensitive, you will be able to sense it. And then there is another thing. You can also create a sanctuary in your home, a sanctuary of high vibrations. A room, even an armchair or a nook where only good stuff happens. Maybe that's where you meditate. Maybe that's where you kind of, make music or do some hobby or something like that. You can also charge a small space wherever you are. Could be your garden. And it's good to have a physical location that helps you. But the good news is you can also travel to locations within the quantum field with your consciousness, which usually when you take on a journey like that, you come back rewired with higher frequency, right?
So you can connect to consciously to different galactic races. Some of the extraterrestrial races are so high vibrational that you can't help to feel amazing when you connect to these races, and they can't help to raise your vibration. There are other places within the quantum field too, or other dimensional frequency bands, such as the Akashic realm. You could go to the Akashic realm. Within the Akashic realm is something called the Oversoul template. This links to the top layer of it, which is the unity consciousness field. That's an energetic field that connects all of us. And that feels sensational when you're there. So there are many places that you can go consciously that it's going to allow you to raise your vibrations simply by connecting to that energy.
And we have experienced this so many times, and sometimes almost accidentally. For example, we were guiding groups to these places. Like, we've got a membership called the Quantum Club. We run different classes and courses. And sometimes perhaps we were tired or a little bit kind of under the weather physically sometimes. I don't know, there was some cold or flu or something like that. And then, I don't know, the session was 1 hour. And we come back, it's like, I don't feel any pain or I don't feel any tiredness. I feel instantaneously better. And there's no other explanation, but just frequency. So if you know already of a place like that in the quantum field, of a place where your consciousness can travel, even your body could be in the most stressful environment, you will instantaneously start feeling better. If you don't know of places like that yet, then come and explore, because there are some wonderful, wonderful frequency bands that will help you so much, and you will come back to Earth glowing.
So the next point is, this is where we start to get to some of the root causes of what's dragging down your vibrational signature. And this is what's really going to get you the permanent and long-term results that you're looking for. And what you need to start to do is start to clear your energetic field of patterns and programs. And again, these are like lead balloons that are dragging your frequency signature down. But removing these patterns and programs is going to give you these long-lasting results. And the beauty of doing this foundational work at the very, very root of what causes this, it's almost like a one and done, that once you've lifted these patterns and programs, you don't have to do this work again. You don't have to keep relifting them. And that's the beauty of it. So the first thing when it comes to patterns and programs could be ancestral patterns that sit within your electromagnetic field, which are creating a reality which is causing a low vibrational signature. And these could be ancestral patterns around loss. They could be ancestral patterns around losing a business. There could be relationship issues within your ancestral line. And it's super important for you to start to look at your ancestral line, mum and dad's line, and then your grandparents, and go back on both sides. Start to look holistically at this and look at the situations that seem to keep cropping up over and over and over again and cross the generations.
And we have a video where we explain a lot more about how to heal ancestral patterns. I think we actually have more than one. We'll link to them so you can actually dig into the subject if you want to. But basically, ancestral patterns are where the history is repeating itself. Maybe a different name, different setup, but the same energy behind it. And ancestral patterns is just one kind of patterns. There's also others.
So the next kind of pattern that you may find within your field is what's termed as a karmic pattern. And this is something that was generated from an experience that your soul had from a past life, typically a terrestrial earth past life. So one of your many, many lives that you've lived previously before this one, because spoiler alert, our soul and consciousness transitions lifetimes and we reincarnate.
It's not your first rodeo.
Yes, and it's not your first rodeo or your first barbecue. It's not going to be your last either. But as we move through these lifetimes, because of decisions that we make, we incur what's called karma. Karma is like an energetic IOU, and we don't repay this IOU to the universe with money. We repay it through experiences, and usually those experiences are negative. And what they can do is to create what's called karmic patterns within your field, which stimulate negative things to keep happening. So the idea is, first of all, look at the ancestral line. Do I see a pattern within the ancestral line? And you So let's say that you don't, but there's a negative thing that keeps happening to you over and over and over again. The chances are that that's possibly karma. And that's something that I teach within my Akashic Mastery Academy. Within my Akashic Records course, I teach people how to go back, read the terrestrial past lives, and also work with karma and neutralize karmic patterns within the field.
This is unfortunately quite a technical subject, but the good thing is that a lot of uplifting your frequency will be done when you clear actual ancestral patterns. And on the subject of karmic patterns, sometimes there's also past life trauma. So it's not where you've incurred karma, you've done something wrong, but you may have certain things that cause you fear or even phobia that boil down to past life trauma. So it's not always that you are a victim, you're not always a perpetrator. Sometimes you're a victim of some circumstances from a past life. So we need to look into all of it holistically. But why are we talking about, raising vibration, and here we're talking about these complicated things? It's because really what raises your vibration instantaneously and permanently is when you remove the root cause. And I'll give you an example from a physical reality. So I was diagnosed with Hashimoto, a thyroid condition. And this is a condition where an autoimmune condition that I was diagnosed with this when I was about 20 years old. And it basically, your thyroid attacks itself, or rather your thyroid is under attack from your immune system. Now, what conventional medicine will tell you? Okay, your thyroid's not producing enough hormone. Let's just top it up with artificial hormone. You just take this little tablet called thyroxine every morning and you're fine. And you know what? For 15 years, I thought I was fine. I thought that, okay, let's just fix. Okay, I'm fixing it. I'm taking the tablet every day. But that doesn't fix the root cause. My thyroid is still not performing and it's still under attack from my own body. And it was only when I discovered that you could do some intervention via supplements, via medication, via lifestyle, that it's actually possible to fix the root cause, that my thyroid started improving, that the autoimmune attack started diminishing. And this is the same with the energy field. So yes, you could be doing listening to a light language transmission every day. Fantastic. It will give you a quick fix. But if you actually look into your ancestry, you look into your pain and trauma, which we'll talk about in a second, you look into your past life experiences and actually discover what is it in there that is actually dragging this frequency down, you address it, you release it, then you don't have to do all these things to constantly raise your vibration, because your vibration will be naturally quite high.
The next thing you can do, and this is massive, is you need to start to begin to heal your pain and trauma. Now, your pain and trauma, think of your body as a hard drive for pain and trauma, emotional pain and trauma frequency from all the stuff that you've experienced in this lifetime. And up to the point that we go through the awakening, up to the point that we start to do the shadow work, the inner work, life can be tough for varying degrees, and people can go through a lot, especially from childhood, etc., and even sometimes when we're young adults up to the present day. But what happens is that the emotional pain and trauma, the legacy frequency, almost gets saved within the tissue and the cells of your body. And so if you find that you're full of pain and trauma, you walk around and you're triggered all the time by different things, and the emotions then start to come up, then what's happening is that you're feeling the emotions which are trapped in your body. So in order to fully heal your emotional pain and trauma, you have to release this from your body. So how do we do it? There's two main ways that you can do it. You can do it the analog or traditional way, and both are fantastic and both get the job done. Or you can do it the quantum, digital, sort of modern, fast way using galactic frequency. So I'll just quickly talk about both and tell you how you can do it. So the analog way of doing it is more of a process. So if people are drawn to more of a process to heal your pain and trauma, that's absolutely fine. But it involves journaling. It involves writing a lot of things down, and it involves going back to each and every single situation that hurt you through your entire life. And you have to heal those situations one by one. And it looks something like this. So let's say you had a traumatic emotional experience when you were 12 in school. and it was to do with one of your classmates or perhaps a family member, what you would do is to pull up the third party, the person that's hurt you, and then they're not there to speak, but they're there to listen to you. So you then get off your chest every single thing that person hurt you with, and everything that you didn't get to say in that moment. And they don't speak, but they just stand there and they listen. And you get everything off your chest, because a part of healing is being heard, right? And then once you've got nothing else to say about that subject, you allow that third party to turn around and disappear. What you then do is to bring up in your mind the younger version of yourself, who was, say, 12 years old at the time. And then you come back like a big older brother or sister that's come back to give your younger self as much love and affection and attention as possible in that moment. And that's called healing each situation and healing your younger self. But you can imagine that's more of a process, because you might have a few hundred situations that have caused you pain and trauma in this lifetime. Like I say, life can be tough, but you would need to go through each and every single one of those situations to heal it. So it is more of a process, but it does get the job done. It's a very traditional method of doing it, and there's no problem with it whatsoever. However, we live in modern times. Wouldn't it be cool if there was something that condensed it? And so one of the methods that I pioneered with the Arcturians, once I started to connect to them, is channeling galactic frequency to heal people's pain and trauma. And what I do effectively with my consciousness is to connect to galactic extraterrestrial collective consciousness grids. And the Arcturians in particular, what I would do is to connect there, and I would actually pull with my consciousness frequency from that galactic collective consciousness grid, and I would channel what I call the codes of bitter medicine. That's my nickname for them. Where originally
officially it was codes of inner healing, but because of the effects, we nicknamed it bitter medicine. Can I explain what it does?
Go on.
So basically, this frequency brings all the kind of pain and trauma. I mean, not all at once, because there's only so much capacity your body can handle at one time, but usually on one theme at once, brings it up to the surface, and then you can release it, and then it really collapses the timeline. So it kind of happens much, much faster. So for example, you apply codes of bitter medicine on a particular subject. I don't know, subject of expression, not being heard. And then it will almost get out all the situation where you couldn't speak freely, where your voice wasn't heard, etc. So it does speed things up. And there's one more thing. You can join these two techniques, which we often do when we work with clients. Both the galactic and the analog, they beautifully integrate together. But this is actually something that absolutely has to be done. So if you're looking for instant fixes, but you don't address that, you'll be relying on those instant fixes forever. So please, please, please face the pain and trauma and actually do the work, because that will last you a lifetime.
Yes, and effectively what happens is that once this frequency comes into somebody's energetic field, it actually starts to get to work within the body, and all of this pain frequency starts to lift, and people start to experience what I call the emotional pain and trauma purge in stages. And so this really starts to lift out of people's energetic fields. And we've helped hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people with the codes of bitter medicine. Over the years, we've healed people's pain and trauma with this. And it's a very powerful, brand new, modern, unique modality. And the interesting thing is, anybody who's consumed the codes of bitter medicine before, if you asked them and you just said codes of bitter medicine, they'd look at you and smile, because, you know, after they've healed the pain and trauma, it's profound, but my goodness me, it's intense.
The process is intense. It's like an energetic version of plant medicine, only it doesn't often affect your body. So your body will feel actually okay. You're not going to have any gastrointestinal kind of problems, but you almost feel like an energetic purge.
You can feel it coming up.
Yes, sometimes out of your chest, sometimes out of your belly. You will feel these things that are weighing you down, that are actually bringing your vibration down, lift. So how we actually approach the subject, as you can tell by now, of raising your vibration is very much holistically. So yes, there are things for instant fixes, and by all means, they're accessible for you. They're tools that are there so you can use them. But the most important thing is to actually go and address all the things that are bringing your vibration down. And finally, it's also very important to find what actually lights you up. And we call it the heart's true desires, because there's one thing taking away all the pain and trauma. There's one thing getting things from the outside, like light language, like consciousness technology, that give you that boost in energy. But what gives you a boost of energy, of this kind of high vibrational frequency from inside out, is when you're living your purpose and when you're living your passion. And when you bring all of these things together, this is where life just is amazing. You wake up full of peace, you wake up full of inspiration, you wake up full of gratitude, but it's not like some kind of gratitude that I have to master by making 10 things that you're grateful for today. It's like a genuine appreciation for life, because also when you do all these things, lives change. It's not going to be the same. It's not just something that changes your emotional state. It's actually something that changes your reality. And actually what we've described in this video briefly is a process that we take all our clients that work with us through. And we have a program we run every year, once a year, always starts in January, enrollment opens around October, called Transcending Dimensions. We're going to link up to that because perhaps you'll be interested in going on a full journey, which takes 6 months, to deal with all of these things, so your vibration is beautiful forever.
And what Transcendent Dimension does over a 6-month process, it completely transforms somebody's energetic signature. So it lifts and clears everything from the field. By the end of the process, somebody's frequency signature is completely different, and therefore the program and instructions to the universe are completely different. Therefore, somebody's reality is completely different. So it literally transforms lives. We also teach the energetic mastery within it. So it's a complete process, Transcendent Dimensions. We run it once a year, and we will link it in the description.
If the enrollment isn't open, you can join the waitlist, depending on when you're watching this video. But that is basically how you raise your vibration. Take everything out that drags you down, use in the meantime some techniques that give you a boost, and then long-term connect to your purpose, connect to your passion, which, by the way, very often will emerge once you have actually done the work, because sometimes your passion's somewhere squashed underneath all these layers of conditioning and patterns and programs and the weight of the world. Your passion emerges, and then the life changes, and things are never the same, but in the most beautiful way. You like living the highest timeline, or you're just happy, I suppose. Highest timeline in spiritual terms is just being a happy person.
And don't forget, if you're really enjoying the content on this channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please click the icon. What this allows us to do, it allows us to help you. You help us to grow the channel. And don't forget that you get notified immediately the second that we drop a video, so you don't waste any time. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode, and we will catch you very soon in the near future.